woman sits alone in the wilderness with a child she cannot save. The sun is cruel. The water skin is empty. Under the thin shade of a desert shrub, her son is crying. His name is Ishmael. Her name is Hagar. She has reached the moment no mother should face. She has walked as far as her strength can take her. She has searched the horizon and found nothing. No house, no road, no voice calling her back, no future she can understand. So she places the boy under a bush, walks away, and sits at a distance because she cannot bear to watch him die. You can feel that silence, the silence that comes when every plan has failed, every door has closed, and tomorrow looks like a wall. But what Hagar does not know is this: the answer is already nearby. She just cannot see it yet. And that is where the words begin. Fear not. Here's what most people miss. In the Bible, God almost never says, fear not, to people who are comfortable. He says it to people standing at the edge of something they cannot survive without him. This is not a story about brave people. This is not a story about perfect faith. This is not a story about easy futures. This is a story about broken people hearing the voice of God before they feel ready to move. Abraham is too old. Hagar is too abandoned. Gideon is too afraid. Joseph is too confused. Mary is too young. Moses has an army behind him and a sea in front of him. And into every impossible future, God speaks, not because there is nothing scary ahead, but because he is already there. The first fear not comes to an old man under the night sky. His name is Abram. He has left his homeland and followed a voice into a land he does not own toward a promise he cannot yet hold. A son, a family, a future. But years have passed. Sarah's body has aged. His body has aged. The tent is still quiet. No child runs through the dust. No little voice calls him father. And when you wait long enough, even a promise from God can begin to feel like a wound. This is the fear of time. The fear that maybe you heard God correctly, but it is too late now. The fear that obedience has cost you everything and still your hands are empty. Then the word of the Lord comes to him in a vision. Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. In Hebrew, the phrase is Al-Tida, do not fear. God does not begin with a calendar. He does not explain the delay. He gives Abram himself. I am thy shield. I am thy reward. But it gets stranger. Abram is afraid because he has no visible future, and God tells him to look up. Count the stars, if you can count them. Abram, your eyes are too low. You are staring at your empty tent. God is asking you to look at the sky. Then there is Hagar. If Abram fears the promise may come too late, Hagar fears the future has already ended. She is not looking at stars. She is looking at sand. Hagar is an Egyptian servant. She has lived inside someone else's story for years. Used, sent away, brought back, sent away again. Now she is outside the camp with Ishmael, carrying bread, a skin of water, and the terrible knowledge that supplies do not last forever. Then the water is gone. Fear becomes a sound, a child crying, a mother breaking, a future closing. If you have ever felt helpless while someone you loved was suffering, you understand this scene. You want a solution. You want a door. You want God to speak before it gets this bad. Then God hears the voice of the boy, not the powerful, not the protected, the child in the desert. And the angel of God calls to Hagar from heaven and says, fear not, stay with me. God does not say fear not because the desert is gentle. The heat is still real. The empty water skin is still lying there. But then God opens her eyes and she sees a well of water. The provision was near. The future was not finished. Hagar could not see it, but God had already placed mercy inside the place she thought would bury her. Now the fear changes. With Abram, the fear was waiting too long. With Hagar, the fear was being left alone. But with Gideon, the The fear is being called before you feel strong enough to answer. You find him hiding, not praying on a mountain, not standing in front of an army, not sharpening a sword. He is threshing wheat in secret, trying to keep food away from the Midianites. That is not a mighty warrior pose. That is a man trying to survive one more day without being noticed. Then the angel of the Lord calls him something Gideon does not feel. The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. Maybe you know Gideon's question. If God is with us, why has all this happened? If I am mighty, why am I hiding? You may believe God is real, but you wonder why your life feels so far from what you hoped. You may believe God calls people, but you still feel like he picked the wrong person when he looked at you. You may pray, but you still feel small. You may serve, but you still feel hidden. You may love God, but you still ask, why me? Then Gideon realizes he has seen the angel of the Lord, and his fear becomes deeper. He is afraid he may die from standing too close to holiness, and the Lord speaks. Peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die. The Hebrew idea behind peace is shalom. It is not just a calm mood. It means wholeness, safety, life put back together under God's hand. Pay attention to this. God gives Gideon peace before Gideon wins a battle. God calls him mighty before he acts mighty. And then there is Joseph. Mary is pregnant. Joseph knows the child is not his. He is righteous, but he is wounded. He loves her, but he does not understand. The future looks like shame, whispers, public questions, and a life people will misread. Then an angel comes in a dream and says, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife. Sometimes fear not means stand still. Sometimes fear not means look up. Sometimes fear not means open your eyes. And sometimes fear not means obey before anyone else understands your obedience. Then comes Mary, a young woman in Nazareth, unknown to Rome, unknown to the powerful. She is not sitting on a throne. She is not standing in a temple. She is simply there. And then Gabriel appears. Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. The Greek word behind favor is charis, grace, gift, unearned kindness from God. But listen carefully. Favor does not mean easy. Mary's future will not become simple because God has favored her. People will talk. Joseph will have questions. Her village will whisper. Her own heart will one day break as she watches her son suffer. This is not cheap comfort. This is not a soft religious sentence. This is not God saying nothing painful will happen. This is God saying, Mary, do not fear the future I am placing inside you. And this is where it gets remarkable. Every fear not has been moving toward this moment at the sea. Moses stands with Israel trapped between two terrors. Behind them, Egypt is coming. In front of them, the Red Sea stretches like a locked door. Mothers pull children close. Men who shouted songs of freedom wonder if freedom was only a cruel dream. There is no bridge, no boat, no path. Josephus, the Jewish historian, remembered this moment as part of Israel's great deliverance memory. Not one frightened person in a private room, but a whole nation pressed against the edge of the impossible. And Moses speaks, Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord. Notice the order. The sea has not opened yet. The army has not disappeared yet. The danger has not passed yet. God says, fear not before the water moves. You may not be standing at the Red Sea. You may not be in Hagar's desert. You may not be Mary in Nazareth, Joseph in a dream, Gideon in hiding, or Abraham under the stars. But you know what it feels like when tomorrow looks like a wall. You know the hallway. You know the phone call. You know the bill. You know the child. You know the diagnosis. You know the future you did not choose. You know how fear talks to you at midnight. You know how it names everything you cannot fix. And still, the word of God comes. Fear not. Not because the wall is imaginary, because the God who speaks is real. So what do we take from every fear not spoken to people facing an impossible future? First, God says, fear not before the situation looks safe. Abram still has no son. Hagar is still in the desert. Gideon is still hiding. Joseph still faces misunderstanding. Mary still carries a calling bigger than her life. Moses still sees water in front of him and Egypt behind him. The command comes before the change. Second, your fear does not disqualify you. You can be old like Abraham. You can be abandoned like Hagar. You can be weak like Gideon. You can be confused like Joseph. You can be young like Mary. You can be trapped like Moses. God is not shocked by your trembling hands. He does not wait for you to become fearless before he speaks to you. He meets you while you are still afraid. Third, God is not waiting on the other side of your impossible future. He is already there. He is already in the desert before Hagar sees the well. He is already under the stars before Abraham sees the child. He is already in the dream before Joseph understands the plan. He is already at the sea before Moses lifts the staff. And he is already in the tomorrow you are afraid to enter. Isaiah says it this way: "Fear thou not, for I am with thee." Not, fear not because life will never hurt. Not, fear not because you will always understand. Not, fear not because the road will be easy. Fear not, for I am with thee. Which fear not spoke to you the most? Abraham, Hagar, Gideon, Joseph, Mary, or Moses? Tell me below. And if this helped you hear God's voice inside your own fear, subscribe for more Bible stories made simple.